Stocks recover in a volatile session of trade, energy as well as utilities notch up strong gains, but FMCG and financials drag. Midcaps outperformed today.
The Supreme Court calls electoral bonds unconstitutional, scrapping them ahead of the Lok Sabha elections. The court has also asked for the identities of contributors to political parties via these bonds to be disclosed.
The M&M stock gains despite a weak near-term outlook for the tractor segment as it continues to notch up market share across segments. CEO Anish Shah tells CNBC-TV18 that the order book reduction is as per the plan to trim wait time and margins should improve going forward.
And the M&M MD and CEO Anish Shah also says that he welcomes global competition to India but insists that entrants must make in India. He also basks for support to EVs as they offer lower cost of ownership and reduce emissions.
An order by the centre to Mumbai airport to reduce runway congestion has led to airlines cancelling flights bound to Mumbai, and sources tell CNBC-TV18 that the move raises concerns over more cancellations and a rise in fares. Hello and welcome. You've tuned into Business Lunch. I'm Nisha Podar. As always, with me is my co-anchor Pavitra Parekh. So Pavitra, a lot of volatility in the market, and that has been the trend for this entire week actually. So lots of global events as well as our own internal events to really take care of. So let's kickstart with a quick look at the markets. Of course, Nifty 50 opened above 21,900 levels today, is down from there and is marginally down at the moment. While if you really take a look at the line graph for the chart of today's trading session, there has been a fair bit of volatility. When we look at the overall picture for the market, well, Bank Nifty is marginally in the green, absolutely flat. And mid-caps, they are the pocket which opened with outperformance to the key indices and continues with that at the moment, also 0.8% up on mid-cap universe, and the broader market participation is keeping the strength for the market with more advancing stocks than the declines. But one focus area in the pocket which has been quite newsy of late and showing a lot of momentum has been the PSU basket, and today is another good day for the PSU stocks, and Mahindra & Mahindra, because of news coming in on the guidance on the future outlook, is the key gainer on Nifty 50 by percentage. And on the flip side, if you really take a look, the big boy from banking space, Axis Bank, is the key dragger, Pavitra.
Oh, absolutely. So, today, while there was a bit of a shake in the morning, it's still been trading in a very narrow, around 100-point kind of range. So, it's not quite as severe as what we saw, in the past couple of days. That said, we're completely at the flat line right now, but there's a lot of force in the mid-caps, which is good to see. I do want to point out that most of the private banks are in the red today, but you do have HDFC, which is holding up quite well. In contrast to that, you have Reliance slipping, which has sort of really emerged as one of the leaders of the market in the past couple of days, right? So that is under a little bit of pressure right now. Apart from that, a lot of the banking names are in the red and a lot of the consumption names, right? So names like ITC, HUL, Nestle, Britannia, pretty much that entire pack seeing some cuts. What's doing well, you have a lot of the oil-related companies, so O&G, Oil India, BP, all of these holding up with pretty good gains. We'll talk more about that, but let's kickstart the show now by talking about what is clearly the top story today, which is that the Supreme Court has called electoral bonds unconstitutional and has scrapped them ahead of the 2024 general elections. My colleague Ashmit joins us to bring us up to speed with everything that the Supreme Court had to say on the matter. Ashmit, truly a historic judgment coming through.
Well, a hugely significant order this coming in from the Apex Court just ahead of the Lok Sabha elections. A big setback this for the central government. Keep in mind that the electoral bond scheme has been set aside, has been called unconstitutional by the top court of the country. This was the mechanism which allowed for donors to buy bonds and then through confidentiality, through confidential means, give it to the political party. No one had access to this information, and this is what the Apex Court has taken objection to. The Supreme Court has ruled that the right to information, especially that of voters while casting their votes. It is critical to participatory democracy. Goes on to say that this information need not be compromised, needs to be made public. The public voters need to make informed decisions. And further, the Apex Court also goes on to say that the idea that corporates can make unlimited donations is also not something that the Apex Court is comfortable with, calling that unconstitutional. Earlier, there was a limit, there was a cap of 7.5% of net profits that a corporate could make. Now it was unlimited. That has been struck down by the Apex Court as well. The Supreme Court holding that especially corporate contributions to political parties, there is an element of quid pro quo. They may be looking for a specific policy change or license, and that this is something that needs to be recognized. And it is in light of that that the Apex Court has come down hard on the Companies Act provisions as well. So clearly, the electoral bond scheme being struck down in its entirety. What is the way forward from here? Well, for one, the Supreme Court has said that the State Bank of India needs to stop issuance of any electoral bonds going forward. Number two, SBI will be required to share these donor details since April of 2019 with the Election Commission. The SBI will also have to share the recipient parties, political parties of these political contributions. That will also have to be made known. All this information needs to be shared with the Election Commission, and the Election Commission needs to make it public, needs to publish this data on its website. So again, a sea change in the political landscape in terms of political funding being brought about here by this decision of the Apex Court.
All right, Ashmit, summarizing it very well. Indeed, the top story with many ramifications, a very important development when we talk about the economics of politics. In fact, let's also listen into some important reactions that came through from the senior Supreme Court lawyers as well as petitioners who spoke to us earlier today after the Supreme Court's judgment. Take a listen on some important opinions.
The time period is that within 1 week of that, the Election Commission will disclose it, put it on their website to the people at large. Within 1 week of that. That means by 15th March, everything will have to be disclosed. They're given 3 weeks to the State Bank of India and 1 week thereafter. So you can calculate 4 weeks from the date of this judgment. Whatever that date is, that's the day when the people of India will get to know who contributed what to which political party. 13th of March, probably. Absolutely. That's the date.
I think it's a very, very significant judgment which will have a far-reaching effect on our electoral democracy, because they have ruled that, number one, anonymous political contributions are unconstitutional to political parties. And secondly, they have also ruled that this kind of unlimited political donations to political parties, by removing the restrictions by companies, unlimited donations by companies to political parties, also violates the level playing field of our electoral democracy.
The entire electoral bond scheme was shrouded in secrecy. It was completely a dark scheme, and it was a scheme which really struck a blow to the independence of election process. So I think this is a very powerful message to the government, that you cannot have these kind of schemes which will encourage dishonesty in election process, and we must therefore have honest election process. So I think to that extent, this is a remarkable judgment.
This is history, because when money has sought to speak through in our democracy, in our electoral democracy, when money has sought to influence electoral democracy, the Supreme Court has said that you cannot do it any further. Rarely has the Supreme Court struck down any measure where the government has invested political capital. The last thing I can remember is 50 years ago, when the court struck down bank nationalization through ordinance.
All right, those are all of the important words coming in after this big judgment was delivered just a while ago. We do need to get into a short break on that note, but when we return, an order by the centre to Mumbai airport to reduce runway congestion has led to airlines cancelling flights bound to and from Mumbai. We're going to bring you more on this when we come back. Hey guys, welcome back. You're still tuned into Business Lunch. Now let's talk about M&M because it is the top gainer on the Nifty right now, up over 7%. This after the third quarter earnings came in better than estimated. Earlier today, we spoke with the company's MD and CEO Anish Shah on M&M's quarterly performance, but also his take on the current competition as well as new competition coming in from the likes of Tesla. So listen in to what he had to say.
Our message to these companies is, if you believe in India, then make in India. It's not fair to consumers if companies just import from outside without a commitment to the market, especially in the auto industry, where the consumer would look for a commitment that the company is going to be with them for a long term, for the duration that they have the car. The auto industry has been a very competitive one for the last 20-25 years. And at Mahindra, we've actually benefited from that competition. The cars that we make today are world class. We are ready with hybrids. In fact, we had to make a choice whether we go ahead with hybrid or EV or both. And the choice we made was to go with EV because hybrid is really an extension of ICE. If we look at the benefits of hybrid, it has slightly higher fuel efficiency. Emissions are more or less the same and the cost is higher. So hybrid doesn't really change the game as electric does.
All right, steering away from the auto space, one stock on our radar is PTM. Just take a look at that particular counter down 5% again today. And if you really take a look at the 1 month chart of PTM since the RBI's crackdown on payments bank for the company came from 760 odd levels, it is now trading at 52-week low of 325. And talking about that saga, sources now tell us that the RBI is unlikely to provide any exemptions beyond the Feb 29 deadline in this particular case. In fact, our colleague Ritu Singh is joining us with what she's picking up on this development. Ritu.
You know, with the February 29 deadline looming over Paytm Payments Bank, we've been given to understand that the regulator is unlikely to intervene in any bank's decision to partner with Paytm or take over its merchant accounts and leave any commercial decision on any transaction whatsoever between Paytm and banks to the individual entities. Further, going by past instances, whether it was Yes Bank, DHFL or others, we've also been given to understand that RBI is unlikely to provide any exemptions for the migration of accounts to other banks. Meanwhile, Paytm, we understand, has been engaging with several top private and public sector banks to set up its nodal account to move the merchant bank accounts and create new UPI handles. Now, how much of this gets done before the Feb 29 deadline? We'd have to see. And if not, is RBI going to consider extending the deadline? That's also a question that will likely be tackled only closer to 29th of Feb. The FAQ on Paytm Payment Bank, meanwhile, is expected very soon. We've been given to understand that this FAQ will solely focus on customer-centric issues, and RBI has been consulting with a whole host of authorities to be able to answer customer queries, and these authorities include NPCI, the National Electronic Toll Collection, the National Highway Authority of India, metro authorities, as well as others. Broadly, the FAQ is going to clarify which customer services get affected after the 29th of Feb and which services will continue to be available for users and so on, and guide customers on their wallet usage, FASTag accounts and so on.
All right, Ritu, thanks a lot for bringing us all of those important details. But moving on to another story which has big impact for all of us is that following the Airports Authority of India's directive to really ease Mumbai Airport's runway congestion, several airlines have started cancelling flights to and from Mumbai. So Danish is joining us with all of the details. Danish, take us through where things stand now and what is the plan to really bring down congestion?
Well, after receiving instructions from the central government to reduce runway congestion at the Mumbai International Airport, domestic airlines have started cancelling flights to and from Mumbai till the 30th of March. Sources told CNBC-TV18 that Vistara is likely to cancel 8 daily flights to and from Mumbai between 19th February and 30th of March, and the airline is likely to share the list of affected flights by tomorrow. Similarly, India's largest airline, Indigo, is also following government's instructions and is likely to cancel 6 to 12 daily flights to and from Mumbai. However, sources in the airline also informed that the overall number is likely to go down as talks with the government progresses. Earlier in the week, Akasa Air also announced that it would be cancelling 2 daily flights to and from Mumbai. Air India Express and SpiceJet haven't shared the overall impact yet, and they are likely to come out soon with the list of affected flights. Earlier this week, the Ministry of Civil Aviation in a statement said that while Mumbai airport is running at its full capacity, it was found that the persistent congestion was caused due to excessive slot distribution with limited time margins and non-adherence of the slots on the behalf of airlines and non-scheduled operations during peak hours. In order to reduce impact on passengers, airlines are informing affected passengers about cancellations and are offering full refund or alternate flying options and an option to reschedule flights.
All right, Danish, thanks so much for all those details. So solving for congestion issues in Mumbai airport, but that could give another issue, that is higher airfares because of higher demand and lower supply because of cancellations. All right, on that note, we'll slip into a short breather on Business Lunch. When we come back, we'll get you the latest from the farmers' Delhi Chalo protest. More on that after this break. Welcome back. Across the board, there has been some recovery in the market, a lot of it led by some of the big boys from the IT space. Keep an eye out on that. To national developments then, and latest coming in from the farmers' protest, which is taking an ugly turn in the capital. The Delhi police has placed orders for 30,000 tear gas shells to prevent Punjab farmers from entering the national capital under the Delhi Chalo protest. Now, they are demanding changes in minimum support prices for crops or MSPs. Hundreds of protesting farmers have been stopped near Ambala. However, there are signs of hope as a team of union ministers will hold a meeting with the farmers and their leaders later today. Now, this will be the third round of meeting between the two sides.
All right, that is an important update, but let's also bring you some important news coming in from Indonesia now. This is on the political front, where Prabowo Subianto has claimed victory in the first round of presidential elections. The Indonesian defense minister has declared victory after unofficial vote counts, which showed him with a significant lead over his rivals. The 72-year-old had run unsuccessfully for president twice before as well. This time, he had about 58% of the votes, according to 4 pollsters. His two key rivals trailed behind with around 25% and 17% of the votes. Prabowo addressed his supporters and said that he was grateful for the quick results. Indonesian markets also celebrating his victory as stocks in the Indonesian rupiah have jumped to a 1-month high.
All right, with that, completely out of time on this edition of Business Lunch. But stay tuned to Midcap Radar. That comes up right next. Thank you so much.